What's up, YouTube? It's Lil Freeze, and today we're reacting to a brand new video called 3 Horrifying True School Lockdown Horror Stories. If you guys are not subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. We go live every single day, whether it be AM or PM. Just depends on my work schedule because I work at JOB. But you can change that by subscribing and watching on Twitch so I can become a full-time streamer. Anyway, let's go ahead and get into the video. I might get an ad here because I don't have YouTube Premium. Hopefully I don't, but if I do, fuck me, bro. Okay, like I said, 3 horrifying true lockdown horror stories.
101 focuses on engaging the students in writing, coding. Everybody get under your desk.
Can you imagine? Can you guys imagine? Let me just stop this real quick. Can you guys imagine just sitting there, like, thinking it's just another drill? And then there's actually gunshots going off? Yup. Oh my god. Oh my god, I'd be mad. Because they don't announce to you guys it's a drill, do they? Do they announce to you guys, hey, this is a drill? It's a fire drill? And then all of a sudden you see your rounds going off? Oh my god, I'd be mad at them. They don't announce to you? Exactly. I was homeschooled, so I don't know. But, dude, if they don't announce to you it's a drill or it's not a drill, and you just think every time there's a school shooting, oh my god, it's fucked. That's so fucked of them, bro. You're gonna put somebody into a panic attack for sure. Story 1. Let's see this shit.
This took place 2 years ago, and I can still recall.
Oh my god, I live alone and it's dark outside and it's nighttime and this voice is just creeping me out already.
In almost perfect detail. It was nearing the end of school. Everyone was on their way to their last period, which for me was history. A class that I not only wasn't good at, but I also disliked the teacher, and at that point I honestly had no motivation of even showing up.
Bro, you're fine.
Ultimately, I decided to ditch and hide out in one of the bathroom stalls located near the very back of the school. Almost no one went back there, so I figured no one would find out anyway. I was in the furthest back stall, playing some game on my phone, when the ear-deafening sound of the principal coming over the intercom made me jump.
Lockdown, lockdown. This is an emergency alert. Please follow lockdown procedures. Go into the nearest room or building, lock the door, and turn off all lights.
It was a lockdown announcement, though I honestly didn't pay it any attention, considering they were all practice, and so I just continued to sit there in the stall and wait. But just then, all the lights to the building seemingly shut off all at once. The hum of the light faded, along with the buzzing of the AC unit, which meant all the power to the school had been cut off.
I'm trying to think about what I do here. Probably get the fuck out the stall and run out the building.
The bathroom had gone pitch black, and that's when I was actually starting to get worried. Power was never cut off during practice lockdown drills. I texted my friend asking him what was going on, and literally right away he answered back with a text saying, "Dude, where are you? It's a real lockdown. Everyone's asking where you are." I told him I was in the bathroom, and he responds saying I should hide. But where else could I go? I wasn't just gonna run out into the hallway to find a better spot. So ultimately I decided to stay and hide in the stall I was in.
Oh my god, they're giving me the actual POV. I'm terrified. Yo! 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 Yo!
I turned my phone's brightness down and texted my friend again. I asked him what the reason was for the lockdown, and after 5 long minutes of waiting, he replied saying that apparently there was a kid armed with a knife banging on classroom doors and asking to be let in. Both my classroom and the bathroom I was in were on the same floor, so I turned off my phone and tried my best to see if I could hear anything. There were running footsteps, and that was shortly followed by the sound of the bathroom door opening. I was absolutely horrified at what I was hearing. Whoever entered walked towards the stall next to me, went inside, and shut the door. I held my breath for what seemed like forever. Then, to break the silence, in a shaky voice, I said, "Who's in here?" It was silent for a second, and then I heard a voice reply with, "I'm just looking for a place to hide. I heard there was a lockdown over the speakers." That didn't really answer my question, but the guy sounded around my age, and so I decided I'd just let it go. We sat in silence for what seemed like forever.
This shit not scary. Can you imagine sitting in a bathroom stall knowing damn well there's a lockdown? You hear running feet, and then somebody comes into the bathroom and hides in the stall right next to you. It's gonna be the nigga with the knife.
When finally, we got another announcement telling all—
No, the person in TikTok is so real. Why would you talk to them? The fuck? I agree. Why are we talking to them, bro?
students to exit the school in an orderly fashion through the front doors, where cops would be waiting outside. I exited the stall, but was surprised to see the guy next to me didn't. I asked him if he was coming, and he replied saying, yeah man, just give me a couple minutes.
Give me a couple minutes? I would throw my shit at him. Boy, the killer is right next door, bruh.
I thought that was weird, but regardless, I left the bathroom and started heading towards the front exit of the school. As I was walking, my phone went off. My friend had texted me. He said that apparently a kid who was maybe a couple years older than us tried to rob a nearby gas station at knife point. The guy actually stabbed a couple people, and when he was unsuccessful in getting any money, he ran to hide in our school to blend in as one of the students. But what horrified me the most was the last sentence. My friend said that the cops outside were saying that the kid was still inside, and that he was hiding somewhere in the back of the school. Reading this changed my walk to the front doors into a full-on sprint. Right as I got outside, I would frantically inform one of the police officers of what I had experienced. And after they searched the bathroom, they found it was empty, but that the window inside was broken. The kid had broken and escaped through the window. Needless to say, for the next few school days, I had gotten a lot of unwanted attention because of what I had experienced. As far as I know, the kid
Why this nigga in my chat talking about some I'm him? Brother, that's not a good thing.
still hasn't been—
I'd be scared as hell. I would be scared as hell. You know, the only reason I wouldn't be scared is because he didn't see my face. Like, if he had seen your face, oh my God, I would leave the state. If there was a lockdown, would you sprint out the door? It depends. It depends. Let me see. Let me look up a school building. High school building. Okay. I can't lie. I'm making this jump. Eight out of 10 times I'm making this jump. Every time. I'm jumping. Not in a Sudoku attempt. I'm not trying to end it all. But this jump from the second floor to the first floor is being made every fucking time. I do not care. I don't fucking care. Especially this jump from this to this, yes. If you go to class on the third floor, you're just fucked. It's over. You're shot. But you also have the lowest likelihood of him actually, like, finding you. They're not going to the third floor. Go to the roof. The roof is a safe option, but the ground is way safer. Here's the thing, perk. If you jump from the third, you're probably... You're not making it. You're not making it. You jump from the third. You see how high this is? Even if you hang down, you're still falling 2 stories. You're not making it. You're breaking something. Hang and drop. No, I see what you're saying, but you're still traveling 2 stories. You see how tall this thing is? Like, look, with how tall this thing is, you could tell how tall this shit is. With how tall this thing is, you see how tall this is? No, you're not gonna die. You're gonna make it, but you're also now stranded outside of the building. What if he was just walking in? What if he runs out? You're just on the ground. Bow. You're just done. It's over. Hi, Josh. But I'm telling you, like, second floor, I'm hitting this shit. First floor, low key, I'm falling down, hitting this banister right here, and then doing a backflip and landing. I'm landing that shit too. But yeah, no, I might not run out the building, but I'm damn near not staying under my fucking desk. Fuck no. You gotta be a fucking idiot to sit under your desk. Just gotta be an idiot. You just gotta be a fucking idiot. But wall run easy. Okay. Here's what I'm wondering though, guys. Here's what I'm wondering. Why do schoolrooms not have what we talking about? Josh, we're talking about scary lockdown stories. I'm going on a tangent right now. Sorry, YouTube. But why do school buildings not all have evacuation ladders? I'm pretty sure it would be way safer to have in every single schoolroom an evacuation ladder. It would save so much time. Imagine people could get hurt. That's why. I mean, that's fair trip. But I mean, think about it. Between the two options of 3 schools. Okay, imagine like this. Imagine this, right? Here are the buildings. There's these windows with 3 bays. Have one ladder go out the right side, one in the middle, and one on the left side. Right? Oh, you guys can't see. Right here. Boom. Hit that shit. Think about it. Fires. Boom. Evacuate out the window. School shootings. Boom. Evacuate out the window. If you slip and land on your head, you're dead, bro. But if you get shot by a 50 caliber round, you're dead, bro. If you burn to death, you're dead, bro. Like, think about it. There's just better options to the school system safety. And it's not sitting on a fucking desk with the door barricaded with one fucking chair. It's just not it. You're gonna die. If I was a shooter, I would get someone else and then tell them to camp the windows. At that point, it's premeditated murder and you're a psychopath. Like, you need to be studied. Fucking studied. I hear what you're saying. But at the end of the day, orgies. How many times is a school shooting a premeditated thing with multiple people? What's up, Eddie? In fact, I don't think I've ever heard of one in the news. School shootings with multiple shooters. Are rare but have occurred. How many times have school shooters with multiple shootings with multiple shooters happened? Okay, it's not telling me. But yeah, I'd be surprised if it was just multiple shooters. I don't think I've ever heard of it. I haven't. I'm gonna send you a science video. All right, bet. Let's go.
God. And it's still just difficult for me to come to terms with the fact that I was unknowingly hiding in a stall right next to the guy I was trying to hide from.
That's crazy as shit.
I somewhat recently got my first real job as a teacher at a public elementary school in a nearby neighborhood. It was the first school year I was teaching, and at this point it was only September. So, needless to say, I was still learning the ropes. It was honestly pretty stressful. I teach a first grade class of around 20 kids, so you can imagine how chaotic it would get at times.
What grade are y'all teaching if you're a teacher? What grade would you teach?
I remember one day.
And what subject?
I was in the middle of assigning the kids a worksheet for spelling simple words when the principal's voice came over the school's loudspeaker and ordered a lockdown. Now, being a new teacher, I wasn't yet informed of when the school had practiced lockdown drills around the year. Therefore, I had no idea if this was a drill or not. But I knew either way I had to follow protocol. I turned off the room's lights, locked the doors and windows, and had the kids sit against the walls
They still
out of
hard.
sight.
High school theater's a good answer.
I'd say maybe 5 minutes passed of complete silence when I could faintly start to hear doors being banged on down the hall. I could feel my heart start to race.
Yo, I mentioned it too, Pluto. Second year science, it's easy. That's a good answer. High school theater, I like. Middle school, that's not a bad answer either. I feel like if I were to teach a grade, low key, people think being like the PE teacher would be the easiest. I don't agree. I'm teaching sixth grade math, but I'm also really good at math. Sixth grade math would be so free. But you have to deal with the kids that age, you know? I feel like sixth grade is right before like kids just lose all innocence. You're not ninth grade yet, but you're like sixth grade. You're like 12. Math there is easy too.
As the sounds got louder, as whoever was banging on the doors got closer. At this point, I still had no idea whether it was just the principal checking all the classroom locks or an actual intruder in the school. But my thoughts were interrupted by one of my students bursting out crying. It was too loud. There's no doubt whoever was outside would have been able to hear it. I could tell. The banging outside stopped in response to the noise, shortly after, followed by a single pair of footsteps walking up to the door.
Oh, hell no.
It was silent for a few
I'm gonna
seconds.
teach science.
But
I like
the silence was quickly broken by a male's voice yelling out, "Hey guys, I think there's kids in this one." And that confirmed this lockdown was real. More footsteps could be heard running up to the door, and that's when genuine attempts to break
Hey guys, I think there's kids in this one.
was real. More footsteps could be heard running up to the door, and that's when genuine attempts to break down the door were made by multiple people. At that point, not a single kid in the class wasn't crying or screaming in fear. I didn't know what to do. I was never trained for this kind of situation. And that's when 2 gunshots could be heard. But it didn't come from the intruders. Police were now inside the building. Right after the shots were fired, the intruders could be heard running down the hall. 30 minutes later, and we were given the all clear. It turns out the intruders were 3 local high school students. They were eventually caught, but when asked why they did it, they would say close to nothing. Although, one of the kids claimed it was a bet, but personally I don't believe that for a second. No bet is worth going to court over, and even possibly losing your freedom. I firmly believe they had much worse intentions.
Dude. Always keep lollipops in your classroom to keep them from screaming. Brother, terrible fucking idea. Listen, guys. Listen, if they put my apartment on a lockdown and I hear people start knocking on the fucking doors, I don't think a lollipop is saving my ass. I really don't. Duct tape is not saving me from making sound. Holy fucking shit. Okay, and it's kind of crazy that right after I said that there's no multi-person school shootings, that happens. Dude, I'd crack my crush before I go, bro. Bro would literally, they would hear the lockdown, he would be like, start fucking on little shit, bro. Start fucking on little shit, bro. Bro, you crazy as hell.
Although most likely traumatized, luckily no one was physically hurt. The shots that were fired by the police were claimed to have been warning shots and were aimed directly into the ground. It's been 2 years since this all happened, and I still teach first grade at the same school and even in the same classroom. And to this
high risk, high reward. It's high risk, high reward until you survive and you just fucking SA'd a girl in your school. The school shooter walks in and sees bro butt ass naked. Someone went to high school. Oh my god.
day, those bullet holes can still be seen in the school's hallway. This happened back when I was in middle school. Technically, it was actually my last day in middle school. It was late May, and for our last day, our school would do a sort of field day where the whole school would play a bunch of games to celebrate the end of the school year. Now, back then, I used to be a pretty active kid, but unfortunately, due to a recent concussion, I was unable to participate in any games the whole day. I was pretty disappointed, yeah, though I did bring my DS and quickly opted to just sit inside one of the classrooms and play that. As,
what do you mean they're
there wasn't
still in
really
the
anything else I
hallway?
could do.
Someone in TikTok just said, what do you mean they're still in the hallway covered in bullet holes, bro? I would too, bro. If those kids went through a traumatizing event and then all of a sudden they just look around and the bullet holes are still there, fuck that shit, bro.
None of the teachers seemed to mind, so there I was, all by myself in the classroom for my science class playing my DS, all the while the other kids got to play games in the school's gymnasium. It was a weird feeling being in that classroom alone. I don't really know how to explain it. I mean, up until that point, I don't think I'd ever been in a classroom completely alone. Something that needs to be mentioned is that the teachers that weren't watching the kids in the gymnasium were in a room across the hall having meetings. I'd say I was playing on my DS for not even an hour when my English teacher, Miss Allen, rushed up to the classroom's door and closed it from the outside. She didn't say anything to me, so I figured she just wanted to make sure I couldn't hear whatever the teachers were talking about across the hall. Forgetting about it, I went back to playing
Being alone in classrooms gets me paranoid. I don't know. I feel like every single time I sit down somewhere in a classroom, of course, my co-ops are a little bit different, how our chairs were set up. I was always sitting, and I do this with like dates too with a girl, or like when I'm with my family. The guy should always be sitting so he can see the door. So he's the first thing to be able to see what's coming in and what's happening. I always sit in a chair that I can see the door and sometimes multiple doors. When was this? Does anyone in the generation even know what a DS is? They know what a DS is, sure. Would you go to a school after you were in a school shooting? Yeah. I'd call fine shit and crack. A trip, listen. Josh can make the joke because he's fucking 14. You're 18 years old, gang. Locked up.
My DS. A couple minutes later, the classroom's door swung open. I expected to see one of the teachers coming in to check on me, but no, a man I'd never seen before walked into the room and closed the door behind him. The guy had to have at least been in his 50s, and so I just assumed it was some kid's dad. It wasn't unusual for parents to come into the school to bring a student their lunch, so I asked if he was looking for someone. He replied with no, in a tone that seemed almost offended that I would even ask that question. Before I could say anything else, the guy started walking towards me. I asked him what he was doing, and that's when he lifted up his shirt, revealing a handgun on his waistband. He followed it up by saying, "Look, kid, I'm gonna need you to come with me, or I'm gonna kill you." The guy said it in the most carefree tone I had ever heard, and that, along with the fact that I'd never even seen a gun in person before, instantly overwhelmed me with pure fear. Before I could fully comprehend the danger of the situation I was in, the guy firmly grabbed my wrist and started pulling me towards the classroom door. But before we got into the hallway, the deafening sound of our school's lockdown alarm started going off. This was followed by the guy instantly letting go of my wrist and making a run for it down the hall and through a back exit. I stood there in shock for a second, but ultimately went back inside the classroom. I'm not sure how much time had passed when Miss Allen came back into the room and told me that she didn't want to scare me, but that there had been an intruder inside the building and a lockdown, which now was over, had taken place. I would tell her about the man, and instantly she brought me to a police officer who was already on the premises to explain what I had experienced. It turns out the man was the whole reason the school went into lockdown in the first place. The man was reported to have been scoping out the school all morning, and when he was seen getting close to the building itself, someone would call the police, which resulted in the lockdown. The guy was later caught and would openly admit that he had been trying to scare kids into getting into his car so he could kidnap them. And this reality still horrifies me to this day. Not a day goes by where I'm not thankful for the school's alarm going off when it did.
Like and subscribe.